League's level of commitment to keeping a franchise in St. Louis, especially given the region's efforts to build a new stadium for the Rams for the second time in 20 years. And secondly, Rams ownership, by all appearances, seems to be more interested in the LA project than the St. Louis Stadium project. How does this meet relocation guidelines, which call for teams to exhaust every opportunity in their own market before moving? Thank you.
Well, Jim, the first answer to your initial question is that we want all of our franchises to stay in their current markets. That's a shared responsibility. That's something that we all have to work together on. The league has programs, including stadium funding programs, that we make available, and we will work and have worked with communities, including St. Louis. We also will make sure that we're engaging the business community and the public sector in a way that can help us lead to solutions that work in those communities, and in your case, St. Louis, and make sure that it works for the community as well as for the team, so our teams can be successful over the long term. The second part of your question, Jim, was the interest in the ownership. You know, Stan has been working on the stadium issue in St. Louis, as you know, for several years. They had a very formal process as part of their lease. That process, they went through that entire process. It did not result in a solution that works either for St. Louis or for the team. So I don't think the stadium is a surprise to anybody in any market that is having these issues. There's quite a bit of discussion about it. And the St. Louis representatives seem determined to build a stadium. That's a positive development, something that we look forward to working with them.
2015 marks the 20th year without a franchise in the nation's second largest market, and coincidentally the 20th consecutive year that I've asked this question. Earlier this
I do recognize it already, Sam. You want me to finish it for you?
Should I just drop the mic? Earlier this month, as Jim mentioned, Rams owner Stan Kroenke announced plans for an 80,000-seat stadium at Hollywood Park. Considering that he has the land, the vast resources, both financial and political, can anyone else win this race? What's the criteria that the league is going to use to determine which team or teams are able to relocate to Los Angeles? And what if an owner decides to go rogue and without the NFL's blessing says, I'm just going to move my team no matter what you say?
Well, Sam, several points that you made there, and let me try to be responsive to all of them. First, let me start with your second question. The ownership takes very seriously the obligation for us all to vote on any serious matter, including relocation of a franchise. There's a relocation policy that is very clear. We have shared it with our ownership over the last several years. We have emphasized the point in each of those meetings that there will be at least one vote, if not multiple votes, if there is any relocation. We would have potentially the relocation itself, potential stadium funding, potential Super Bowls. So a lot of things would likely be subject to a vote. And our ownership takes that very seriously, and we take that very seriously. So any relocation will be subject to a vote. As it relates to the first part of your question, there have been no determinations of us going to Los Angeles, any particular team going to Los Angeles, or going to any particular stadium. We have several alternatives that we're evaluating, both from a site standpoint. There are teams that are interested but are trying to work their issues out locally. And so as a league, we haven't got to that stage yet. And it will all be subject to our relocation policy. There are requirements in that policy, as you know, particularly as it relates to cooperation and working to make sure they solve the issues in their local market. But I'm confident all of that will be covered within the relocation policy and with our membership approval.
Just minutes ago, the mayor in San Diego announced a task force to explore a stadium getting built there. You've been very complimentary of what Dean Spanos has done in terms of trying to get that done there. Can you speak to the fans there about how important it is? Do they need a new stadium? And also, has Dean done enough to demonstrate that he's tried to work things out locally?
Well, the answer is we all have to work together on this. So from a fan perspective, from a Charger standpoint, from the NFL standpoint, from public officials and the business community, this is a shared responsibility. Dean and his family have worked for 10 to 12 years trying to get a new stadium. They do need a new stadium for the Chargers to be successfully there long term. It's one of the oldest stadiums in the league, if not the oldest stadium in the league. And we need that for the fans also. It's important to the franchise so they can remain competitive, but it's also important for the fans because fans expect those amenities now. So it's something we'll continue to work. I'm glad to hear he's got a task force going, but they have been working at this for 12 years, and it's something that we need to see tangible results sooner rather than later.